How have the new guys been getting adjusted to the system so far in practice, and what kind of role do you think they will play as we get closer to the start of the season?
Yeah, we had summer together, and then, obviously they're not back yet for the start of our workouts, and there are a lot of new faces. That's one thing I realized. We walked into our first practice, and it makes you appreciate the guys who are here, but there's an excitement because there's going to be expanded roles by some of the players that are, going into their second and third year here, and then there's just a lot of new faces. And that will be, I think, the key. What you said is to find out who can do what, the identity of this team and how we need to come together, with a big departure of, high-level players. But as I've said many times, I'd take winning a championship and kind of starting anew with, some experienced guys and a lot of new faces than not winning one. So this is kind of part of the process of building up and getting these new guys experience, and then the guys that are here will have, bigger roles.
Yeah. So one of those returning players, Huff, what are your expectations for him this season?
Yeah, I'm expecting him to take a bigger role. He's gotten stronger in the weight room. And, this year our experience is more in the front court with the bigger guys, with Mamadi, with Jay. Braxton's kind of a swing player. He can play the 4 or the 3. But, and then you have Kihei, but the experience lies in those guys that, Jay doesn't have a ton of experience, but he's got more than most. So I'm excited for Jay in this year. When you become an upperclassman, he's going into his third year as eligibility-wise, there's just something to that. You feel like, okay, I'm one of the older guys now. And again, he'll be needed, and I think he senses that, and I think he's really seized the work this summer, and of course, again, starting this fall, and will be relied upon in a much, in a bigger way.
Do you have any thoughts on your Big Ten ACC matchup, have to travel to Purdue in a rematch of the Elite Eight?
You think they'll be a little fired up to play against the Virginia team? No, that'll be. I used to coach at Wisconsin, so I've gone to West Lafayette and played in that arena. They have some great fans, and it's really an intense arena. And for those who, well, obviously almost everyone watched it, but those who were in Louisville for the Elite Eight game to go to the Final Four, it was all Purdue. It was one of the most intense, home crowds, so to speak. So I got a feeling they're going to want to really take it to us. But that's great, because to get in those experiences early in the season for a lot of new guys to feel that kind of, road pressure, the crowd going against you, it'll be, I'm sure, a lively one. And again, I think they'll remember that game we played. I got a feeling.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts on the ACC moving to the 20-game league schedule, and how do your preparations change knowing you have to go on the road to Syracuse for your first game?
Yeah, to start with a lot of new faces. That was talked about, I think, with the launch of the ACC network. They wanted to get more games, so there's more content, so it can go around. You're always looking to play quality opponents. So 2 more games, you're going to play, 2 more quality opponents. I was kind of middle of the road if we stayed at 18. I remember when we were 16. So we'll have to wait and see. It's just you have to be wise with your scheduling, your non-conference scheduling. You're always going to play an ACC Big Ten competition. You play in these tournaments. So you're playing a really good schedule, which is good. But, it remains to be seen. But that's a lot to open up an ACC game. I think you play 1 more before the new year. That's different. And then you're into, 16 of those games, or I'm sorry, you're into 18 more. So it'll be a grueling schedule, and hopefully we'll get better as that season progresses.
So last week you announced you have added Kirk Penny to your coaching staff. It's my understanding that he was involved in some significant changes that took place in your offense last year. Can you speak a little bit to that and
Sure.
what impact you think he'll have moving forward on the team?
Yeah, well, Kirk, I played professionally. After I'd played in the NBA, I went overseas, and I met Kirk when he was 15 or 16 years old. He was one of the best youth players in that whole country of New Zealand, and sort of trained him. And so I was so impressed with him as a young player. He ended up playing for my father at Wisconsin, and we've been close ever since. But he played a little bit in the NBA. He's played in the Olympics, the world champs, some of the best European teams. And I think those are some of the best coaches in the world. You watch those European teams play, offensively especially. I think they have great minds for the offensive game. And Kirk and I have always stayed in contact. And after last year, and we've talked through the years, but I said, I really think we need another offense, a change. In all your experiences of playing, is there anything you recommend? Because he's watched us. And so he and I talked, and he kind of presented our staff and me with something he ran there, and we really put it into practice, and it was huge for us. So he's got great expertise of that, and just anytime you get a player that much international experience, it's huge. So I think he'll be a guy that the players will respect, our staff respects, and he'll bring some fresh new ideas, which is what you're always looking for.
So Mamadi made the decision to come back for his 4th year. How much has there been a dialogue between him and the coaching staff about what he, the feedback he got back from NBA teams and how he wants to use that to, implement it on his game?
Yeah, when he got back, we talked about that a lot, what he learned, going to the workouts, being in those experiences, and then he just got done playing for the, it's called the Nike Skills Academy, and that's one of the elite, they bring some of the top college players. So he's getting some really good experiences, and I think using it for what the next level people have told him, and then being a leader here and just improving his game. So Mamadi is, he's got a contagious personality. He's full of life, and I know he has dreams to certainly play professionally after. But I think this is a really good year for him to expand his role, to continue to grow, to help lead, and use, again, the experiences of really all the years, but certainly his experiences in the NBA tryout camps or whatever you'd call them to pour into this year.
I know the mindset probably doesn't change too much, but how do you approach, a new season, kind of an unprecedented new season, knowing that you'll be playing the season as defending champions?
Mm-hmm. Well, last year was an unprecedented season too. We were the only team to have been beat by a 16 seed as a 1 seed. And I think other teams have been defending national champs. It's the same in a way. We use the terminology. I got this really great letter from a coaching friend of mine that Bobby Knight, who's a famous coach, received this letter a long time ago. And really the premises of it is to run to the starting line, not run to the finish line. And we talked about that a lot last year. And it's the same this year, because there's a lot of newness to this team. Just get ourselves ready. Get ready to run to the start line. Don't worry as much about the end results. We've always been focused on the process, being as good as we can be, the team we have, maximizing that team. And I think therein lies the secret. Get as good as we can be. Figure out who we are first because of the newness of it, and we talked about that. But then figuring that out, and then just season each day and being ready to go as we, I guess our first game's at Syracuse, but it's more about our first workouts. We just sort of go a day at a time.